Hello everyone, and welcome to yet another Elder Geeks podcast where good games never get old, but we sure do. My name is Randy Asenchak, and joining me this week is Ryan.
Hello.
And Steve is back.
Hey, hello everybody.
This is episode number 9. Next episode is going to be our final episode of the season, so prepare yourselves. I don't know. What do people do when finales come around?
They look forward to it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please look forward to it.
And we're just going to take a break. We don't know how long the break is going to be, but we figured 10 episodes was a good first run. We're going to evaluate the show and then, possibly come back to it after a little while. But here we are, episode 9, and we are about to enter the holiday season. Well, I guess since Thanksgiving is over, we are officially in the holiday season, aren't we?
Yep.
Yeah, decorations are up. We're doing it.
Yep. I'm staring at a Christmas tree right now.
That's it. We're in it.
There it is. Oh boy.
Yeah, we're recording this on Cyber Monday too, so yikes.
You got
Get them deals.
If you're new to the show, what we do is we talk about first games that we play with our families, and then we go and we do a round of games that we play by ourselves, and then we have some time at the end. We sort of have an off-topic conversation. But let's start off and talk about games with families. And Ryan, you had mentioned before the show that you had been playing Mario Party.
I did. So it's a bit of both by myself and with the family.
Is Mario Party fun by yourself?
All right. I mean, I would argue yes.
That's a legit question. I haven't played a Mario Party game in a decade.
Yeah, I will say, so this Mario Party is a bit of a return to form, but also they did a pretty good job of innovating, I think, because the previous title had the game of lifestyle car and all the players were in the car. Did you see this?
Yeah, we had that version. Yep.
And it was pretty panned. I didn't actually get to play it, but I didn't really see it as being something I was really interested in playing. But this one is more nostalgia, more like a Mario 64 or a Mario Party 64 style. Classic board, star moves, you go around, it's the whole thing. But they added also a bunch of other game modes, and they present it to you sort of like in a, you walk into a carnival of sorts, and you can go to the different areas and choose which game mode you want. And some of them really lend themselves, I think, to solo play. Or duo play, because my wife and I played a few of them, just the two of us versus two computers, because there's one that's a team mode, so it's 2v2 the whole time, and it's actually probably the best separate mode that I've seen in the game so far. That's one of the new ones, because instead of having a board where you're locked into a trajectory going around the spaces, it opens it up sort of like a tactics style map, and you can go to any space within these larger areas of a game board, if that makes sense. So,
Mario Party, just for anybody who's never played it before, it's just basically party games. It's just an assortment of games.
Well,
No?
With a board game structure, though, that's really the key to it, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's like a board. It's like a board game you don't have to set up or clean up.
Yeah. You roll dice, each person has their in-game avatar, and you roll a die. In the previous games, it was always 1 through 10. In this game, it's 1 through 6. And then you move that amount of spaces, and then depending on the results, you get teamed up or not a team, and then you play a mini-game.
See, it's been so long that I literally don't even remember the board game aspect of it. So yeah. I honestly thought that the way it worked out was Mario Party was you started up the game and it just gave you random games. You could either select the minigame that you wanted to play, or you would hit the random button and it would bring up the minigame, randomly. But there's an over-board game to it, so there's
There is.
Oh.
Yeah. So in this version, now the games are less turns, but the boards are smaller, but you're rolling lower numbers. So the standard game used to be 20 turns, but now it's 10, which I think still pacing-wise really works out well. But it's the mini games definitely shine in this version, and I don't know. It's very satisfying to play. I enjoy playing it by myself because I was having fun figuring out some of the mechanics and learning the new mini games, and There's also like character unlocking to do, and my wife's favorite character is Dry Bones, and so I wanted to make sure I unlocked Dry Bones for her so she could play.
That's an oddly specific favorite character. Why Dry
I think
Bones?
it goes back to like a childhood thing where she and her cousins used to play Mario Kart, and whoever like was the last place person had to play as Dry Bones, so it was like this little thing that you would tease each other and call each other Dry Bones. So then it became her favorite character. So yeah, weirdly though, Dry Bones is pretty OP in this version of Mario Party, because in addition to picking your character and then rolling the die, each playable avatar has their own character die, and they all have different values than 1 through 6. So like Bowser has like a couple that are actually 0 and you lose coins, but then the top number on his die is 10. So you can like go really far, but you have like sort of a bad chance of getting far.
Question.
Yes.
Can I, if I have Mario Party on my end and you have Mario Party on your end, can we play a game together at the same time?
Via the internet or in person?
Via the internets. Magic of the internet.
Okay, I think over the internet you can do one of the stripped down game modes where you play mini games together. So it's more like what you were imagining in your brain of the game. So you can play the mini games together, but you can't play a fully fledged game. However, with multiple switches in the same room, you can play like either 2 on one switch, 2 on the other, or 4 switches playing together.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Have you done? Now I've seen like on the trailers, they like there's specific game modes where you can like slide 2 switches together to like literally alter the game board. Is it cool?
It's pretty fun. That is the most gimmicky part of it to me, because those games do not come up naturally as far as I have seen.
Really?
In the roll-up, yeah. The only way I found those games... Now, I only played one night with a friend of mine who came up from a nearby city just to like hang out, and he brought his Switch, and so we tried it out. The only way we found them, but it was only through like the course of an hour that we played around, was by going into... You can go like down a pipe, of course, into like this little side area, and then you can just play a couple mini games. And that was the place where you did it. And it works really well, though. I mean, I would like it if they integrated it into a larger game mode, because you put the switches in the arrangement you want, and then you run your finger across one switch screen into the other switch screen, and that's how it calibrates where they are.
That's where it knows where its like alignment mark is.
Yeah, it works neat. Quickly. It's easy to set up.
Yeah.
But yeah. I also did have a chance to play with my parents and with my sister and brother-in-law who do not play video games. And I can confirm that that sort of a party game is still very fun with people who have no idea what they're doing.
That's awesome. Okay, another question. Because I'm actually, talking to you, I'm actually way more interested in the game than I was before.
Yeah.
My interest was 0% before. Now it's actually kind of high. Now it sounds like something I would actually play with, my wife and kids.
Sure.
How long is a game?
So 10-turn game is about an hour.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's long. Are there shorter games? Like, are there 30-minute modes?
I'm trying to think. I think that most of like the board game modes are about that. They have a rhythm game thing that you can do that is short. That's like 10 minutes tops. And it's like you and 3 other people are on a stage, and then there are a series of like loosely rhythm-based games, and the better you do, the more the audience likes you. And then at the end of a set, quote-unquote, of 5 songs, quote-unquote, it determines a winner. And that's a shorter game mode, and then you can do it up to like 2 or 3 encores, which are then harder versions of those games. So that's kind of a short little bite-sized thing you can do. But I mean, honestly, the way that Switch works, as well as I, you can just hit the home button and pause the game and come back to it. Yeah,
it's one of those things, though, having a definitive like beginning and end would make it easy.
Helps for the kiddos.
Yeah. There's no, okay, we have to stop the game now. It's over when it's over kind of thing.
The other thing too that perceive as being hard with kids with this game is if they're too young to deal with loss. I feel like it's going to be difficult for them.
Oh, that's a thing.
You know, because the mini games can be pretty like upsetting even to a drunken adult playing them, for example. When you're like neck and neck in one of these mini games and then somebody wins and somebody loses. So I can only imagine how it is with a child who is much like a drunk adult.
So it's true. Steve, knowing how old your little girl is, she probably is having that issue right now of not accepting loss.
Actually, she's weird. I don't know what's wrong with her. She's a little... My older daughter, yes.
She enjoys losing?
Yeah, she doesn't enjoy it. It just doesn't really bother her, strangely enough. Yeah.
My oldest son, like, couldn't stand it.
Yeah. They play Mario Kart together, split screen, and my 14-year-old will be in first place, and the 4-year-old will be in, like, 9th or 10th place. And she just doesn't care, you know. She's
just happy to be playing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's all on, like, the auto mode and all that stuff.
Well, sure,
yeah.
But yeah, so whatever. She's just having a good time.
All right.
She's a weird one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, my oldest he was really bad about it, and then I don't know what it is. I guess it's just part of growing up. But now he's much better at not winning. You know.
Yeah,
but there was a point where it was like a major thing. You know? Yeah. So okay, final question: Is it easy to throw the match for parents who have to like deal with kids who
I would say it is easier than in previous titles to throw the match, because that's like the thing that Mario Kart was like really well known for and notorious for, was that anybody could win at pretty much any time for no reason at all. And there are some pretty like startlingly random things. They introduced a thing where there's a hidden block. I don't know if this was in any previous ones. Steve, I don't know how many more of these you've played than I have.
I don't think I've ever actually played any of them. I've watched a lot of them get played.
I don't remember that mechanic being in any of the other ones, but randomly, whenever you land on an empty board space, you could encounter a hidden block, which appears as like the standard Mario like cobblestone block.
Okay.
And there's it looks like a 1 in 6 chance of you getting a star out of those, which is like what wins you the game. And there's a 5 in 6 chance of you getting some coins.
Cool.
That can like throw the match in a very random way. But I mean, a lot of the time, you can purposely lose minigames, and that will not... Yeah, that's what I mean. Is it
easy to purposely lose, like, minigames to make... Okay, that's good.
I mean, like, a lot of them are... Like, there's one where it's a quiz game, and you have to run to the correct answer, and if you don't, the platform drops out from underneath you. I mean, it's pretty easy to run to the wrong thing, and then you get no coins, and then you don't have enough coins to buy stars, and you can't win. So, like, you could totally play it that way if you needed to.
Actually, I'm legit interested. While you were talking about this game, I officially threw it on my wish list. So
yeah, I intended to play it when I saw you last week, Randy. I intended to break it out, but we didn't end up having time.
Yeah, no, this is definitely on my wish list, because now it's like because whenever we have like family coming over to visit, it's always like, what do we have all the kids play, and this would be this sounds like a good one to be like, okay, nobody's ever played this one before, at least in our group.
Go have fun.
Just go, go have fun and be nutty,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
I've got that one tucked away for Christmas, so that sounds.
Nice.
I'm glad to hear it's good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Well done. All right. I don't want to steal things, but to just kind of things chugging along, and not to spoil things, but to spoil things. You guys are going to be talking about Pokemon Let's Go.
Yes.
And I don't want to shift into that just yet. I'm going to steal it for just a real little bit. And I'm going to actually talk about Pokemon Sun.
Yeah.
Not Pokemon Sun and Moon, because I only own Sun. And the reason why I own Sun is because I remember watching it at E3, and it was like, I haven't played in a Pokemon game since literally the original Game Boy, and that looks really fun, and I got it. And I never made it through the tutorials on that game. Because the tutorials and the intro setup to this game, it is like hours long. It's like 3 hours long.
It's pretty substantial.
It is a long time before you get to any real content in this game. And I was like, you lost me, Pokemon, and I put it down. fast forward to this year, literally to this week, my son, while we were just kind of flicking through the digital channels that we have on TV, he was like, "What's that Pokemon show?" And I was like, "It's Pokemon Ruby Sapphire." I was like, "Let's watch it." So I popped it on, and man, he is in it, man. He is in Pokemon to win it now. It is his world at the moment.
Awesome.
And trying to make a long story short, he was so excited about it. He like binged watched a whole season of it because we just had Thanksgiving break, and he had the time to watch TV, and I didn't care because I was juggling other things, namely cooking and cleaning. And
well, it's a holiday. He can have a little extra TV time. That's a thing.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly my point. He normally doesn't sit in front of the TV for, tons of time, so I didn't mind that he had some TV time. And there's also a Pokemon movie that's in theaters now called Pokemon The Power of Us.
Yeah.
Which I guess you can only do through, like, I can't remember what it's called. Anybody remember what it's called? It's not Atom tickets. It's like Phantom tickets or something.
Fathom Events.
Fathom Events.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we got 2 tickets from Fathom Events to go see Pokemon The Power of Us.
When is that? Is that coming up soon?
It's out. Like, it's already done a couple of its showings, and I think there's
cool.
like only one more showing of it before the end of the year. Like
cool.
December 3, I think, is its final one. And man, he just loved it. And so I was like, hey, I have a Pokemon game at home that I've never done before, so I gave him Pokemon Sun. And he's in 1st grade right now. He's doing really well with reading it. He's actually gotten a lot better with reading, and I actually think him playing the game has kind of forced him to try to read more, believe it or not.
Sure.
Absolutely.
But he, at the same time, he's getting tired after reading for a while. He'll literally go, "Oh, I don't want to read this much," and I'm like, "I get it, I understand." So I'll sit down with him and read for a couple of minutes with him. But again, it is a substantial amount of just front-heavy junk in this game. I'm like, when do we get to the point where we can just walk around in fields and dungeons and stuff to catch monsters and raise them? And we're slowly getting into that now.
Yeah, how far along are you now?
He's gotten his intro Pokemon. I don't know. I guess he just graduated like the school. He fought like 6 little trainers, and then now we're in town where we have hit more tutorials already.
Right. Yeah.
About learning how to use the camera in the game.
Yep. I know where you are. Uh-huh.
So it seems really fun. His enthusiasm for the game has gotten me really excited, and like I was never a big Pokemon fan, but like I said, seeing his enthusiasm has gotten me excited about it.
Yeah.
So I would recommend it, if you've got like a 1st or a 2nd grader who can read, but be prepared to pop in every once in a while to kind of
to help
out.
Yeah, I will say, as somebody who's played the whole of that game, well, I've played all of them because I'm a little bit too into it. That is the Sun and Moon are probably the heaviest on that stuff that I've seen in the whole series, to be honest.
Yeah.
I would say for a good one starting off for kids, X and Y were really good. And they didn't have as heavy of those like cutscene style plot devices. Mm-hmm. There was a lot less hand holding going on there. The other one
those
too.
On 3DS?
Yeah, they're all on 3DS. You can play all the way back to, now technically, you can play all the way back to Gen 2 on the 3DS because the 3DS can play DS games. Mm-hmm. So you can still play Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which were the remasters of the second games.
Cool.
But the ones I would actually recommend specifically for your son who is enjoying Ruby Sapphire, he could play the remakes of Ruby and Sapphire on the 3DS that came out a year and a half or 2 years ago, Alpha Ruby and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. And those are a very similar graphics engine to Sun and Moon, so they still look good. It's all 3D, but it's pretty light on the hand holding because the older games had a lot more simplistic plot lines. I mean, and although the Pokemon games hold their value pretty well, so you're not going to get it for like $2, you could probably get it for $20.
Well, that actually kind of, this is actually going to be a great segue to work into Pokemon Let's Go because Pokemon Let's Go, as all of us here know, is a pretty hot holiday item. The version that comes with the Pokeball is already, being bought and resold at exorbitant prices, to try to take advantage of those parents out there who didn't who didn't get it,
who didn't pre-order those.
Yeah, and it's also, it taps into this this time frame. Phil and I were talking about it a little bit last episode, where the 3DS, I feel, is now entering into the phase where you can get a lot of really good games for it for super cheap.
Yeah.
And I think now is the time when you kind of want to get it before Nintendo says, we're not going to support it anymore. I think Nintendo will still support it for a little bit longer, but again, there's going to be a lot of good games that are going to be super cheap now.
Yeah.
Before they become remarked back up again.
Yeah. Nintendo actually it's interesting. They are very vocal about the fact that they want to continue supporting the 3DS, but especially in America, I feel like the market is really dying out for it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you can get, the fact that it plays DS games natively, you can get a lot of really good older titles from the DS generation for a really good price.
I will honestly say that besides the Switch, I think the or the 3DS has been probably one of my most used home consoles in a while.
Yeah. It's really great.
It's amazing when you consider what a failure that system was in its first...
To begin with, yeah.
Yeah, in its first 6 months or whatever to a year. Mm-hmm. It was a disaster. It's amazing that how they turned it around and really, it surpassed the normal DS in a lot of ways.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Although it never got a Hotel Dusk game, so not really that good.
So let's use this as a time to push into Pokemon Let's Go, which I believe is going to be a gift that will probably appear under our Christmas tree this holiday season. It might. I'm hoping that it will be. Yeah, I'm hoping that it will be. But so the two of you have been playing it. Ryan, you've been playing it personally, and Steve, you told me that your daughter is playing it.
I am vaguely aware of it being played somewhere in my house. I have not seen my Switch in a couple weeks.
That seems to be a good indicator.
Yeah. So, every now and then I'll hear her yelling or something, or I'll see her flailing around with the Pokeball, and I'll be like, oh, okay, good. It still works. I'm glad it's here.
Good.
All right, just to remind everybody, how old is your daughter again, Steve? 14.
Okay. All right. That's prime Pokemon age.
She's been at it probably. I think her first Pokemon game was maybe Diamond.
Oh wow. Okay.
Back on the original DS.
Yeah, that would have been.
Yeah, that was I think the first one she played, and she's played all of them since then. So.
Wow.
Yeah, she's way into it.
So she has, I think you mentioned, she has the Pokeball controller.
Yeah, I got that edition because, like Randy said, I had a feeling that it was going to be one of those things where, you weren't going to be able to find them, and then they were going to be all over. And she had expressed interest in it and said, oh, it looks pretty cool. And I guess you can actually use it. She said she can, go out in the world, the normal real world, and do, Pokemon Go stuff with it.
You can, yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that when I got it, but that's pretty neat too. So,
yeah, I think that they struck a pretty good middle ground. The game, I don't know if you were aware, Steve, was pretty criticized for being a little too casual because they've gotten rid of the wild Pokemon battles entirely in favor of a more Pokemon Go aesthetic.
Yeah, I did read a lot of the criticism of it. And they're gonna make another proper Pokemon game, so why not? I feel like this is probably way more accessible for younger kids, which is great.
Which is what I am personally very excited about.
Yeah,
right. Which is so the whole time when you were talking about Moon, I was just thinking, oh man, he's got to get Let's Go, because it'll just be such a better experience.
It gets rid of a lot of the tedium because instead of fighting and literally grinding, because that's what it was. It was a JRPG. Mm-hmm. You just get to catch a bunch of dudes and throw a bunch of Pokeballs at a guy and catch it. It's great.
Yeah. What are your feelings? Have you got the Pokeball, but have you tried to use the Joy-Con at all for catching?
So I started out using the Pokeball controller because I was I bought this thing. I'm going to use this thing. But I have to say, as an adult who still enjoys a child's thing, It is pretty.
Oh, but no. Do not say that, because I will say this: when I went to go see that movie, when I went to go see Pokemon: The Power of Us, it was a literal 50-50 split of like adults who were going to see the movie, going to hang out with friends to go watch Pokemon, and then like parents who were bringing their kids.
All right, that's true. I won't be an apologist.
There was no other like gradation in there at all. It
Sure.
was either like parents taking their kids or adults who were going there to enjoy it with buddies. And
Right.
it was nice.
Yeah. It's just tough because you can tell, the one thing I noticed is you can tell it was made for a smaller hand than mine. Because it's pretty, like, I definitely noticed fatigue after playing with it for like over an hour, I would say. Because you're just, I was holding like my hand in a claw so that you can hold, because it's, you know, if you imagine a Pokeball, the button on the front is a joystick of a Joy-Con, and then the top of the Pokeball
from Pokeballs.
Yeah, pretty much. The top of it is a button, and that's it. So I was like kind of like holding my arm really weird. It is very satisfying to throw, to like make the throwing motion, but it's a much more slovenly experience to play with the Joy-Con, because you can just kind of lean back and you have your hand on the Joy-Con, and you can use the trigger button of the Joy-Con for A, and then you just walk around with the joystick, and it's pretty good. Throwing still works pretty well, you know.
Okay, because it seemed for us, and I don't know if it was just an issue with our Joy-Con or what, but when I was watching her play it with the Joy-Con and she was doing the throws, it was like really inaccurate. Like it seemed like the ball was going all over the place, like with no rhyme or reason.
I think that has to do with what you're pointing it at when you connect the Joy-Con. I read something about that on a Reddit.
Interesting. Question. I've been saying that a lot. I like it.
It's good.
Question. So can you play it with the Pro controller?
You can't.
You cannot. I was kind of bummed out about that.
Yeah, because here's my thing. Like my Joy-Cons are like first generation Joy-Cons, because
as are mine for reference though.
Oh, but mine were like I got controller drift pretty much within a month or so, and I sent the controllers in, and they were repaired, and they came back, and they were great for about 2 months, and now I'm getting it again.
Really?
And I'm like, Urgh. Yeah, and you know, Joy-Cons are not cheap. They're $70 for the pair.
Oh yeah. Yeah, mine are the same that I got with my like launch day Switch, and I've not had any issues. So I guess maybe I'm just lucky.
Count yourself lucky, man. Yeah, mine got drift, and it stinks.
Yeah, it wasn't 100% of them. So there were some bad batches out there, and I think for the most part they weren't.
I will say also in handheld mode, you don't do the motion controls obviously because the Joy-Cons are connected.
So what do you do to throw in that?
So
scenario?
then, if you remember from like Breath of the Wild, how if you like tilted your Switch around, it sort of gave you like a little bit of a precise aim with the bow and arrows. It's sort of the same thing. You start out centered on the Pokemon, but then you can move it if because some of the Pokemon move around, and so their circles move with them. So then you can move, and then you just press A, and it throws the Pokeball. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. But
okay, so tell us about the tiny little Pokeball.
Sure.
That you bought. There's a couple of things I want to know. Like one, how sturdy is it? Like they show in the commercials and stuff, like the guys are like, I'm just gonna take this with me, and they throw it in their pocket. Like,
yep, done that.
That just seems I can't do that. Like I would think that I would crush it or break it or something along those lines. Is it relatively sturdy?
It seems pretty sturdy. It's got like a rubberized, plastic on the outside. So it's sort of grippy. Mm-hmm. I've definitely like put it in my lap in a car and sat on it kind of, and it didn't break.
Steve, does your daughter take it with her?
Yeah, she's been taking it around. Yeah, it seems nice and sturdy. I don't have any problem.
Because with it. Like I think you get like if you load it up with a Pokemon inside it, and you can walk it around, and it gets experience from walking around with it.
Yep, it's just awesome. Like the Poke Walker for those old school Pokemon fans from Heart Gold and Soul Silver. They had a pedometer that was very similar.
But you know how awesome that is if somebody gets this for a holiday gift, and you're like, hey, stop playing the game. Go do something other than spend time in front of the television. They could at least throw the Pokemon, the Pokeball in their pocket, and then literally go do anything, and they would still be in their mind technically playing it.
Oh yeah, because then if you hold down the joystick, which is like a button, it will light up with the color corresponding to the typing of Pokemon that you have.
Right.
And if you shake the Pokeball, its cry plays, the little sounds that it makes play from the Pokeball speaker.
Awesome.
So, like, it definitely is a thing where a kid could be running around pretending to have their Pokemon with them and enjoying their time.
See, that's super cool.
Yeah, and it works with Pokemon Go, which I've also tried. You hook it up just like the other wearable tech that they have for Pokemon Go, which was it's a little Bluetooth clicker. And if you have a Pokemon in the ball, it will spin the Pokestops for you, so it'll help you collect items. And you can use it to get distance on hatching your eggs in Pokemon Go and all of those fun things. It's really good.
Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. All of this is making me think that I should maybe restart my Pokemon Go.
Oh, you totally
account.
should.
I had one a long time ago when my wife was pregnant, but I do not remember the sign in for the life of me.
That's okay. You can also it might be worth resetting that password because you can also transfer Pokemon from Go into Let's Go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just putting it out there.
So Steve, you haven't played a bit of it, huh?
I have not, and the one thing I haven't played it at all, not even for a second.
Yeah, we haven't even actually really talked about the game yet. We've just been talking about the surrounding things.
Well, one thing I was going to mention is it does have that co-op feature
yes, it
too,
does.
right? Where like you can have a player too, kind of playing along with you or helping in some way. Seems like the little buddy kind of.
Yeah,
feature.
you can just if you shake another Joy-Con, it'll drop in a second player. Does not adjust the difficulty of NPCs when you do that, so it does make the game drastically easier from a combat standpoint, which can be a boon for people with children.
Right.
Because if you know your child is having a tough time with a gym leader, you can just be like, "Oh wait, I'll help," and then it's 2 versus 1.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But yeah.
And in your case, Randy, you got your little guy too, so he could even sit there and help his big brother out a little bit, and
yes.
That would be pretty fun for them. Kind of get him into it too. See, look, I should be wearing a red polo shirt with the Nintendo logo on it right now.
We both
literally just sold you the game.
I am genuinely excited about it. You know, because they are excited about it. You know what I mean? Like I said, their enthusiasm is contagious. You know.
Well, and it is a really well-made game. It looks great on a TV.
It does.
It's sort of silly to say, but it feels good to have a Pokemon game on a TV again. Mm-hmm. You know, it looks good. It plays well. Haven't noticed any like weirdness with graphics. You know, the controls are pretty intuitive. A lot of quality of life improvements that are included. You know, like you don't have to run all the way back to a Pokemon Center to switch out Pokemon anymore, which is kind of nice. Even though some would say that it sort of is breaking form. But
whatever.
Yeah. But whatever. I mean, especially when you're playing it with your kids, it just makes the process smoother, and there's not any times when they're going to be like, why is this like this? That's stupid, because some of that is really, antiquated.
Literally every negative comment that I've read about this game, all of these things all sound like positives to me, because I'm going to be dealing with a new kid, new player going into this, and this all sounds like it would just be great for him.
And that's what the game is for. It's to bring in a new audience, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I haven't gotten through it yet. I'm only playing when my wife is around because we're sort of co-oping it, but a lot of times not using 2 characters, so we sort of hand off. But I'm through 4 gyms of the 8, so that might give people a ballpark of where we are. I'm hopefully about to get to the city that has the Safari Zone, because I've been banking a lot of Gen 1 shiny Pokemon to transfer to my game to play with.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say I'm glad that it's finally out, because the only thing that was that was Pokemon related that was on the Switch up until this was that free-to-play thing that they put on there.
Oof.
Oh my god. And the thing is, like, my son played it like once or twice, and he was like, why can't I play that anymore? And I don't know how to explain to him that it's like it's not really a game, that it's just it's an eternal money wheel, and no, I'm not dealing with that I was like, get it off the
You kind of just watched it play itself anyway. I put maybe 5 hours into that game.
Yeah, I was not psyched about that. So I was happy
and
to take it
Pokken,
off.
but I mean, I don't think It's smaller kids aren't really going to grasp a fighting game because that's the other Pokemon related thing. Pokken Tournament.
Yeah, no. Won't be for him.
Nah.
Yeah.
It's not really my style either. I'm terrible at fighting games. I just I don't get it.
So clearly you recommend this then.
Oh, absolutely.
And Steve, clearly your daughter has put in enough time to...
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's definitely... I mean, if you own a Switch, you have kids, they even, like, remotely have any interest in Pokemon. It's a no-brainer.
Slam dunk.
Cool. All right. Do we have any other family games that we wanted to talk about before we switch over to personal games?
I think that's it.
Nah, that's it. That's it
cool.
for me.
Let's do personal games. I'm gonna do mine just because mine I feel is like it's gonna be short. I apologize to anybody who was looking forward to a video from me this week. I actually fully intended to make a video this week, but Thanksgiving kind of came and went, and it was a mess in the house. But I really wanted to do a video on this game called Battle Chasers Nightwar. And it's this game that came out in 2017, and it had been on my radar for a while because it ticks off a lot of check marks on my checklist. It's developed by former developers who built the Darksiders games. So Darksiders 1 and 2, it's built by former developers of Darksiders 1 and 2. It is this it's this Diablo-esque game with classic JRPG fighting. So you delve into dungeons and you run into monsters and such, and but the battles, instead of being real-time action like they are in Diablo, it cuts to a two-dimensional JRPG style fighting. And those elements are fantastic. Like, literally, the dungeon crawling is great. The turn-based fighting is actually fantastic. I would actually go as far as to say that it's probably some of the best turn-based fighting that I've played in a long, long time. It's no longer just like, if you just go in and mash the attack button, you won't win. You need to constantly be juggling like status effects on yourself and putting them onto the enemies and making sure that your characters are healed. And so it's this good balancing game,
like a back and forth.
Yes. And artistically, it's beautiful. It looks like this fantastic comic book style. And the soundtrack is fantastic too. The music is done by Jesper Kidd, and he's done just a bajillion of soundtracks in the past. And I did some digging on it. I was like, why is this Battle Chasers Nightwar? Why is it not just Battle Chasers? Apparently, and this was news to me after I purchased the game, Battle Chasers was a comic series that was put out in the late 90s. Steve, I know you read comics. Have you ever heard of this before?
No. Actually, no, not at all.
The thing is, apparently it was like relatively huge. Like it was some of the best selling like comics for the time, but apparently it had only done 9 issues. Okay.
Oh.
Wow.
Right. It's so strange. So it did like 9 issues, and they just kept running into production problems. And lo and behold, the guy who developed Battle Chasers, his name is Joe Madureira. He actually went on and founded the company that also developed Darksiders 1 and 2.
Interesting.
So by them like getting booted off of the Darksiders franchise, it almost seems like a dream project for that kind of guy, to go back to Nightwar or to Battle Chasers and to create this, and I was really kind of excited about it. The downside was the story is just such junk. There basically wasn't a story at all. Like all of the characters are such generic archetypes. They didn't really have a story. There was no real like reason to kind of keep playing. And the ultimate straw that broke the camel's back for me personally was the grind just really got to me. So you would finish a dungeon and you'd think, okay, I'm at least prepared to go start the next dungeon, but you'd be like massively underleveled to do the next dungeon. So you'd have to play that dungeon that you just did multiple times over and over again just to be able to get through the front door of the next one. And I was like, ugh, enough of this.
So there's no other like side stuff that you can do to sort of help bridge that gap?
There's really minor side stuff, and I got to the point where I was like digging for the side stuff, and I just was not finding it. And it's this game that I'm excited about, but I'm also super disappointed by because, again, amazing music, really great art style, fantastic turn-based, JRPG fights, and beautiful like dungeons to delve through, but just ground up by the grind, and that was basically it. Like I could have gotten past a junky story because it's not like Diablo 1 or 2 had amazing stories, for crying out loud. Diablo 1 is just keep going
down
lower in the dungeons until you find the devil, But the grind just broke me in Battle Chasers Nightwar. So
good mechanics, just bad execution.
Yeah. And it's a case of so close yet so far. But apparently, it does pretty well on Metacritic. But what's funny is I don't think I've ever heard anybody ever talk about the game. But it's on basically every platform out there: Windows, Mac OS, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and I guess they just put it on Nintendo Switch. So if you're curious, it's something to check out. Just know that it is grindy. That's it. I got nothing else to say about Battle Chasers Nightwar. Do you guys have any questions?
I did look up the comic, and it was published in 1998, which was not to reveal how old I am, but that was a few years after I was kind of off comics for a while.
That's Steve. That is exactly what happened with me. That was like 2 years after I got out of comics.
Yeah, it was like I kind of picked them up again in the 2000s, but there was kind of like a lull there in the late 90s.
I was not a comic guy. It just never grabbed me.
No,
I did one comic series, and this will show my age. And where my alliances lie. I was a big fan of the Sonic the Hedgehog comic series by Archie, which got surprisingly dark in the late 90s.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, I remember those comics. Yeah.
That was the only one I ever did.
I think that was the other thing that kind of bothered me once I found out that there was a comic about Battle Chasers. Nothing about the game made me want to go back and find out more about these people, because I'm sure you could buy like the bound edition of all of the comics cheap now, but there was nothing about this where I was like, wow, what is the source material of this? I just didn't care.
That's a shame.
And here was this golden opportunity to sort of revitalize a literal dead series, but just didn't do it for me.
That's a shame.
Steve, I'm excited to talk about your game.
All right. So, in the time since, I guess, the last time I was on the show, I don't remember what episode it was, but since then I have played through all of Uncharted 4.
And what'd you think?
Nice.
I loved it. I thought it was really good. I really liked the story and the characters. I've always liked the characters. I mean, that's kind of like the glue, I guess, of those games is kind of they're archetypes, but they're, fun and playful and likable rogues.
I think that is a great way they are likable rogues, and the characters themselves, the voice actors and actresses, they play well off of one another.
They're all really good, and the motion capture in this one and everything, like the performances. I mean, I guess between Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 4, Last of Us came out, right? So yes, if I remember correctly, it seems like Last of Us kind of like propelled their mocap and everything like really far ahead of where it was, because it was great in the first 3 Uncharted games, but now it's just like phenomenal. The performances and everything in some of those cutscenes, really good. I have a bunch of notes here. So this one came out in 2016 May. It's on the PS4, and it was developed by Naughty Dog. I overall I really liked it. I liked the story. I liked the characters. I loved the environments. I kind of liked the traversing, all the terrain and everything. I really liked that they added a little bit of a stealth mechanic to the game. Which I don't think existed at all in the previous games. There was
a decent amount of stealthiness in 2, I remember.
Okay, I don't remember like the whole like ducking down in tall grass thing and kind of, that kind of stuff. I don't remember that in the previous games, but maybe I'm just forgetting. It seemed like that was something that kind of, again, came through The Last of Us a little bit, adding more of a stealth mechanic. But
I think it was because Last of Us really leans on stealth.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was going to say, is that Uncharted system, while it was kind of nice at times, it made me want to play more like a stealth approach, but it just wasn't fleshed out enough to really do that. Like there was no mechanism to like get guards' attention or anything like that. I mean, unless you like poke up out of the grass real quick and they kind of spot you, and then you duck down again and they come over to investigate. That's about like I could kind of cheese it a little bit like that, but overall there wasn't. Like I'm playing through Horizon right now, and that's got like crazy stealth stuff going on in it. But I don't want to go into that right now. But anyway, and part of the reason why I really liked the stealth stuff and wanted to do more of it in Uncharted is that I really don't like the gunfights in those games, and it's not like a like, oh my god, this is a murder simulator and Nathan Drake is a murderer and blah blah. It's not anything like that.
Right.
It's just I just find them really tedious. It's like you get to an area and there's like a bunch of crates and you're like, oh, here we go. It's like a big open room, and you just know you're gonna have to fight through like 5 waves of guys. And I don't enjoy the shooting. I don't find it to be particularly great. People will make fun of me for saying this, but I threw the auto aim on because I just hate playing shooters with a controller.
I don't. You're not gonna get any hate from me, man.
Yeah, I just didn't even care. I was like, you know what? 20-year-old me would have totally made fun of me for doing this, but whatever. I just throw on auto aim. I threw on the auto aim because I was like, I know how Uncharted works. I know I'm going to get to these rooms and I'm going to have to kill like 25 guys just to like advance the story, and I don't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
So I threw on that and I was just like boop boop boop, like take them all out, double tapping them, and then I'm like, okay, let's move the story on, and that's really what I wanted out of the game. I don't even find the shooting particularly challenging in those games. It's boring and annoying.
Yeah, I think that as far as like their shooting goes, they hit their peak in 2. One was a little bit tough because it was a new system and it was basically
they were pretty bad with the original with the 6-axis before they added rumble and stuff. It was pretty tough playing that game.
Yeah, they pretty much hit their... I feel like with their shooting, they nailed it in 2, and it was like the peak fun, where it was kind of fun, where you could like jump off of cliffs and throw grenades, and like you could be a little bit sillier about it. But like with 4, and I'm not knocking 4, but with 4 it felt like they were trying to be a little bit more serious than they were with 2, and I guess it is a more serious game than 2, but...
it's got a little bit more of a somber tone and everything.
Yeah, but I even think that tonal shift was enough for it to kind of take something away from the shooting, where it's not like, I don't know, Nathan Drake is like, ha ha ha, I should be retiring, watch me swing off of ropes,
I think 3 was where it got really bad with the shooting. 3, that was where they started introducing those big set piece areas where it's just like a big open thing and the waves just keep coming at you. And I just want to clarify that it's not that I'm saying that I don't think there should be any shooting in the game, or that I just mean that those types of encounters I just found to be so boring, and
it's all third person, right?
Yes, yeah. So like there will be other parts where like you're getting chased by a big jeep or whatever, a tank, basically a tank, and you have to take it out with RPGs and stuff like that. And I mean that kind of stuff I thought was fun, and I enjoyed that. It's just those long drawn out gunfights. It's just like, come on, like this is all we got. Really?
Yeah. If you couldn't tell, I have little experience with Uncharted because I basically haven't owned any PlayStations since the 2nd. But it reminds me of, because since I was back in the day, I played a lot more Xbox with like the Gears of War style thing where you'd like walk out into an area and you're like, oh, this is a big arena. I bet you a bunch of guys are going to come at me and I'm going to have to shoot them now.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. It's very similar like that.
They actually kind of started around the same time too, didn't they?
Yeah, I think Uncharted got a little flack, kind of like when it was first shown, because people were like, "Oh, here's Sony's Gears of War."
Yes,
really,
I remember
interesting.
Yep. Yeah.
It's a totally different game.
So when I was kind of saying who developed it and all that stuff, I guess for you and anyone else who's listening who may not have much experience with the game or the series, Uncharted is basically an anthology series about a main character, a guy named Nathan Drake. He's kind of like your everyman Indiana Jones, I guess, would be a good way to put it. He's a little snarkier. And who does the voice of, what's that guy's name again?
I was about to say Nathan Fillion, but that's wrong. It's
Nolan North.
Nolan North, that's what I was going to say, yeah.
Who, for all the parents out there, he is the voice of Blaze from Blaze and the Monster Machines.
Oh, all right.
That's pretty
He
funny.
really is.
Yeah. So it follows his story and the people in his circle as he goes out and does Indiana Jones kind of type stuff where
Right.
he's looking for treasure and relics, and he's a treasure hunter basically.
Yeah.
And he's also a mass murderer because
Well,
he
sure.
shoots.
Yep.
You know, like you do.
So that last part was a joke.
well, you know.
Sorry.
I mean, Indiana Jones killed some dudes. He shot
did,
some
but
Nazis.
not like Nathan Drake.
Not nearly the numbers as Nathan Drake.
The guy's got a real bloodlust problem.
All right.
That's all I'm gonna say. It's disturbing. Anyway, he'll go through. The stories are always kind of lighthearted and fun for the most part. There's a lot of twists and turns, and characters are introduced and they backstab each other, and it's that kind of story.
Yeah.
And the first 3 games came out on the PS3, and then the 4th game came out for the PlayStation 4, and I don't know, I don't want to go really into spoiler stuff, but basically it's called A Thief's End, and it wraps up the story.
Right.
So presumably if Naughty Dog were to produce any more Uncharted games, I would hope that they would maybe do something like they did with the Lost Legacy spin-off game, where it's other characters kind of in that engine doing that kind of stuff. But leave Nathan alone,
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think Nathan has earned his rest.
His
I
retirement.
feel like yeah, I don't know if they should add any more to it, because we're reaching the point of, can you really improve on what you've done?
Yeah.
I feel like what they've got is this nice contained series where people can say, yeah, my order of favorites go 2, 4, 1, 3. Like it doesn't need to go on for forever. It's
Right.
good the way it is.
The one more thing I'll say about the game is that the epilogue that you play through at the end is pretty amazing. But if you've played The Last of Us, it kind of ruins the epilogue of Uncharted 4 for you a little bit. People who have played both will know what I'm talking about, and when you do, you will.
I recently replayed The Last of Us, and when you had told me about the epilogue in Uncharted 4, it's been a while since I've played Uncharted 4, and I was like, what are you talking about? And I looked it up again. I was like, oh yeah, I could see what you're talking about. Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially if you played The Last of Us first and then played Uncharted 4, it kind of like changes that epilogue for you a little bit.
Yeah.
There was some other point I wanted to make, and I lost my train of thought. But anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting,
Yeah.
Randy, what you said about like wrapping up a character like that. I feel like there's definitely been other examples where they just need to let go a little bit.
For sure.
Oh my gosh.
The one that immediately comes to mind is Halo for me, because
Yeah.
I played the most recent one after a really long time. I picked it up for like $20 because I couldn't even deal with it anymore at this point. And the character has sort of Master Chief has like totally run its course. There's nothing, you're trying to get blood from a stone here, and they just keep pushing through to try to make more games. And it's like, well, probably should have just let it go and moved on to something else.
Yeah, I feel like how iconic Master Chief and like Halo's lore is like constantly kind of rammed down our throats a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like a BMX, he's like a motocross suit with a machine gun.
Yeah,
I mean,
basically. Although, I think back to like Reach era. Reach was like a really solid game, and like
it was.
in that
I actually liked Reach a lot.
time that it was that like the series was a titan, but then 4 was okay, and it just started to kind of go downhill. But yeah, that's just what it made me think of.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that about Reach, because Reach. I think Reach might have been one of my favorites in the series.
What a good
I liked
game.
that it explored other characters and kind of just got away from that.
The whole thing, spoilers for a however year old game. It's got to be nigh a decade now.
Yeah.
The imminent and unrelenting death of all of the main characters of the series was really good. Because the game literally ends with you are the last one and then you die, and that's the end of the game.
It was the Rogue One of Halo.
Yeah. 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 So really solid.
Steve, I'm glad you liked Uncharted 4. Your enthusiasm has gotten me kind of excited about it. One of these days I'm going to repop that back in and replay it.
And funny enough, now I'm doing a very slow playthrough of The Last of Us, and my wife is kind of like watching as I play, and we're just kind of like
Did you have a save file where you could start past that intro, or did you go through the intro?
No, we did the intro.
Oh my gosh, man, that intro! Even now, years later, that gets me, man. It gets me.
And I was like, see why I was so stressed out at the end of Uncharted?
That's good.
Yeah, I'll still say this, man. Last of Us is one of the very few perfect games out there. I can't think of anything bad to say about Last of Us. It is a perfect game.
Someday I'll check it out.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's a good one. Yeah, so that's it.
I was gonna say I'm also glad that you're
Uncharted 4.
doing Horizon, man, because that's.
I am. I've gotten back into it. Yeah, I picked it up maybe like 6 months ago or so.
Did you buy like the complete edition for like $20 or whatever?
Yeah, it was $20, and at the time I had like a $5. I have the Gamer Club thing or whatever at Best Buy, which is going away soon, and then I had a $5 card, so I think I ended up getting the game for less than $15.
Nice.
When all this is done anyway, I played it for a little bit, then I kind of got bored with it. Now I've gotten way back into it. I'm really enjoying it. It's kind of, I feel like with that game, I don't want to go too far into it because I'd like to talk about it maybe on a future episode. But it's like the reaction I'm having to that game is what I feel like other people have to the Witcher series.
Oh, okay, all right.
Because I struggle with the Witcher games. I've played all 3 of them, and I always get to a point, and I'm just like, okay, I'm kind of done with this. And then, but this is, I feel like I'm seeing a lot of parallels between the two, and I'm kind of having I'm having a better experience with this.
Ooh, man, I can't wait to pick your brain about that one because I'm a fan of both the Witcher series and Horizon. Horizon, I think, is a great game. But cool. Ryan,
yeah, I'm not knocking The Witcher. It's just not hasn't been for me.
Oh no, there's no like, dude. There's some people who just don't like it. There's nothing wrong with that. You know,
nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all, man. Ryan, do you have Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
You were going to talk about the Netflix series.
I was, and I stopped myself. Sorry. I'm good.
Oh boy, I could have a whole show about what I'm expecting for that.
Yeah, we'll get there with that, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. Yep. Ryan, do you have a personal game to chat about, or are we gonna?
I have a smidge.
Go for it.
I won't talk too much about it because I'm revisiting and continuing with Stardew Valley. I needed some de-stress material post work for a few days, and so it actually sort of timed out well holiday wise because the seasons progress pretty quickly. But I had left off playing a few weeks ago in fall, so then for Thanksgiving it was still fall, and then by the time Thanksgiving was over, which in the Northeast here it snowed pretty heavily, it was winter. So then I was like enjoying running around in the snow of the 32-bit world of Stardew Valley, and then also looking out my window at some lovely snow.
That's nice.
Yeah,
did you get it on? Because I know you have it on PC. Did you also buy it on Switch? Because
I haven't picked it up on Switch yet, and it also is on iOS now, which is a dangerous thing.
Oh,
that is dangerous.
Because I feel like you could just literally just play that all day if you had it on your phone.
Got that on your phone, and you can easily get fired.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So for now, I'm trying to just keep it relegated to a post-work thing. But it's good. I mean, there's a lot of really interesting mechanics, and I try to the nice thing is the way that the game is structured, you can only do farming, obviously, during spring, summer, and fall. So in the winter, you have to find other things to do with your time, just like in real life. Nice. So I, spent some time fishing, which I enjoy in this game, and then I'm terrible still at the combat of this game when you go into the mines, so I was trying to get better at that. So that's been my main thrust recently. But it's good. There's a lot of cool secret stuff, and I'm romancing a different character so I can see some different dialogue trees.
I love the success of Stardew Valley just because it's not an expensive game. It's clearly a success, and it's not plagued with the traditional AAA baloney that comes with modern day AAA gaming.
They're still pushing updates to it for free pretty much, so
which is awesome.
Yeah.
I fully support that kind of game.
Randy, did you ever end up playing it? I know we talked about it before.
I have it, and I played it for, I want to say, an hour, and I could feel the addiction setting in. I was like, I have to put this away, or I won't ever get my work done. And that was the end of that.
That was. I get that.
that was that.
The first time I played it, I put in a full work week's worth of hours in my first week of owning it. So
it's different than, say, a game like Uncharted, where I know that if I put in the 20 hours that I'm done.
Yes.
Like after that, then I've got some quote unquote time off while I search for the next gem.
Yeah, there's no done.
But with a game like that, I could see I would be very busy for a long time, and so I put it aside.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. My one goal for the game is it's divided by years, and I think the first time I played, I got about a year and a half in, but I definitely want to get to the third year because there's some content that I haven't seen yet that I know exists, but I haven't spoiled for myself somehow. So I'm definitely going to push through to see some more of that stuff. So I think if you time it out right, it takes about 80 hours maybe to get that far.
Wow.
So we'll see. It'll be little hours here and there.
Yeah, I would, again, based off of my time with Stardew Valley, I would recommend it, and you could probably get it cheap. If you're playing it on PC, you could probably get it for very, very cheap on a Steam sale, which we're in one right now, and there'll be another one on around, Christmas. So
I think iOS, albeit dangerous, it's only like $8.
Oh my, yeah. There you go, man. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch. We've got a little bit of time left. Let's switch into some off topic. Steve, would you care to go first? Do you have an off topic to talk about this week?
Well,
I do if we need to fill time. I got one locked and loaded.
I will give I'll give a music recommendation.
Yeah, we haven't had one of those yet. Let's do it.
For anyone who's listening. So the holidays we are in the season. We're knee deep in it, I believe, as they say, or other things as well.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone likes a little holiday music.
Do they though? Sorry, that's my own cross to bear. I hate holiday music.
Yeah, all right. Maybe everyone. I was generalizing.
All right, fair enough.
A lot of people.
Yes.
A lot of people enjoy some music. So I do, but I don't really. I can only listen to so much Bing Crosby and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It gets a little old. So I really like this album. My wife and I bought this back when we were dating in the '90s. At a little shop in New Hope, Pennsylvania, where they sell like gargoyle statues and Gothic candles and stuff like that.
I am loving this. This is great.
Yeah.
This is
I don't know where this is going.
So this CD was called Excelsius Volume 1, A Dark Noel, and it's basically all these different Gothic and like dream pop and like shoegaze type groups doing their rendition of Christmas songs.
That's fantastic.
And it's actually a pretty good album, and you can get it. It's on spot. So we had the CD back in the '90s, and we loved it. Listened to it all the time. Like around the holidays, not in like July. But anyway,
right.
So over the years we lost it and couldn't find it again. It was by this little tiny record label. I think they were based out of somewhere in Pennsylvania, which is probably why they just had like a little rack of the like a half a dozen of the CDs on the counter, and so we could never find it. It just recently seems to have appeared on Spotify.
That's awesome.
Interesting.
So that's why I'm giving it a shout out. Sorry, I know that was kind of a real long. I'm glad everyone came with me. I'm sorry about the journey. It took a while to get there.
No, I like that. It was a good
nice
journey.
walk around the pond. We got there.
Yeah, it is on Spotify now, and it's great. It's also on Apple Music and Google Play and all the other things. But if you have Spotify, you can listen to it on there.
So one more time, the title of the album, just so in case people missed it.
Yes, and I'll also make sure to give you a link to it. So if you want to throw it in the notes and everything, Excelsius Volume 1, A Dark Noel, which I assume means somewhere there's a Volume 2.
God, I hope so.
I've never heard it, but I can only vouch for Volume 1. So if you get Volume 2 and it's bad, I don't want to hear about it.
You know what? Actually, I take that back. I hope that there's no Volume 2 and that it just stands alone.
I'm with you on there. I like the idea of there being a Volume 1, and they were like, never got around to
didn't really
doing
pan
Volume
out.
2.
But yeah, I mean, it's got some pretty obscure artists on here. I think the one that I even recognized the name of was Black Tape for a Blue Girl, and they're, I think, pretty obscure, but I recognize their name.
Yeah, I've never heard of
else. I had never heard of anyone else, but it's pretty good. It's even got the Who song from the Grinch in there. So I mean, but when you hear it, it's kind of funny actually, because it's kind of out there.
I love it.
Anyway.
Yeah,
that might be our most original off topic that we've had yet. I feel bad about mine now.
All right, go ahead. Are you going to give us some music recommendations too?
No. Although, you know what, I could give a music recommendation, but
we could do a round of music.
You know, I feel bad because I don't. All right, I'll do a round of music. I'll do a music recommendation, and I had talked about this on Spotify as well. But there is a game or a VGM album that came out called Zelda and Chill. And it's by Game Chops, and I feel bad because I'm going to say this guy's name. It's either Michael or Mikkel. It's Mikel, but it's basically it's the album is called Zelda and Chill. It's lo-fi chill hop, remixes of Zelda songs, and I love it. It's great background music.
I'm adding it to my Spotify right now.
Yep, I just followed the playlist, so I know what I'm listening to tomorrow morning at work.
It's really good, and to be honest with you, it's short. I think it's like 40 minutes long, which is normal for a CD. But come on, digital age, you don't have to be limited to a CD. I hope that they do like a B-sides to it, or to stay within the Zelda vernacular, to do a Dark World version of it or something along those lines. I really do like that. That one's been getting a lot of play on my Spotify playlist lately.
It looks like it spans various generations of Zelda too, which I appreciate.
It does. It's not just like Breath of the Wild. It goes all the way back.
Cool. I like that.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, hit us, man.
All right, so I'll give a Christmassy suggestion because, as I mentioned, I don't really love a lot of holiday music, but Steve's story inspired me because I also have an album from my nostalgic childhood that I love and I'll still listen to, because I don't really know how to explain my love for very specific music, but I think I've mentioned on here before that I have a degree in music, so I tend to like more old school things. So the Christmas album that I will still listen to, and that my wife allows me to listen to because she's so great, is The Chieftains, The Bells of Dublin, which is a Celtic group, and it is a full album of Celtic style, and a lot of them are Old English carols, but done in sort of a bar room standard way. Several of them actually are from a live set that they played in a pub, which I kind of appreciate. So there's a bunch of people drinking in the background and hooting and hollering.
Pretty cool, actually.
It's kind of good. And
what was the name of the album again?
It's called The Bells of Dublin, I think. Let me look. Let me check my Spotify here.
Yep, 1991. I got it.
Yeah.
So we've got Steve. What was yours one more time? Excelsius Volume 1.
Yes. Yeah.
And then mine was Zelda and Chill, and then Ryan's is
The Bells of Dublin. It has some really good celebrity appearances. Elvis Costello is on it.
Oh, cool.
That was the Chieftains thing, which people who weren't into Celtic music in the 90s maybe don't know. They would do albums, and then they would just invite all of these random rockers to come guest on their albums. Because I think they did an entire album with Aerosmith. I think that was a thing that they did in the 90s.
Maybe.
But yeah, it's good stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely intrigued by all of this.
Yeah.
Because when I lose control of what is being played through our stereo here at home, it often quickly goes to All I Want for Christmas Is You and every other pop cover of music. It's like sandpaper in my ears. I get it. People like it, and I don't want to be gatekeeping about what is cool and what is not cool about holiday music, but
sure,
enough is enough for me with that.
There's a time and a place.
There is.
And it was 1994 was the time and place for that.
I was gonna say it's usually not now, whenever now is.
Yep.
Oh, awesome. Guys, thanks for hopping on the show. This was really fun.
It was a good one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was good. So there's one more, right?
One more. The next episode is the last episode, which would be, probably the last episode we'd be able to do within the year. But that will be the last episode of this season. So that'll be season 1, episode 10. And then we'll take a little bit of a break. We'll see how our personal schedules are going. To be honest with you, I need to refill the coffers, man. I need to get my kid playing more games so I can talk about them.
Well, you got Christmas coming up. You got some.
Yep. That's what I'm banking on, man. Because right now I'm out of games that he and I have kind of played together. I'm out of recommendations.
Well, we'll come up with a fresh set of them. I'm going to have a child, and then I'll have some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see about that.
That is an experience that honestly that you will be wanting, and I hope that our listeners will want to hear, because it's a thing.
It's a thing. It's going to be a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a thing. I still remember when my first son was born, I remember needing to stay up all night with him because, you know, my wife and I took turns with watching the kid.
Sure.
You know, she would watch him during the day, and I'd do my best to stay up all night with him. And I pretty much mastered Splinter Cell Conviction. Yes, Splinter Cell Conviction. I could walk through that game blindfolded and never get spotted, or just kill everybody at will without ever getting hit, because I just played it over and over and over again. It was a game I could play silently and not wake him up.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah.